Okay, folks, I think what we need to know about who is at risk of progression is we obviously know that there are structural changes, there could be functional changes, and there could be again structural changes that's very early detected by OCT. Now the trouble is that all the studies which have been done have different methods, different way to evaluate. Some are using prospective criteria, some are using retrospective criteria. So really it's difficult to get the hang of it. But one of the best studies available is that of the EMGT trial. This is the only study done in Sweden where they have taken 500 patients, and this is the only pure study where there's a group of treatment patients and there is a group which has not been treated at all for as long as 6 years. So all the other studies, they do a mishmash, but there was no pure study like this. And this was the first time that we really came to know that the risk of progression increases with higher baseline IOP, presence of exfoliation, bilateral disease, worse mean deviation, older age, frequent disc hemorrhages. So that was really, really important. What they found was that half of the progression risk in control patients, if you treat, almost half the patients do not progress. So this was one of the major studies to give us the idea. Again, advanced glaucoma intervention study has also shown us that different levels of IOP will relate to progression, and we all know that if patients are always below 14, they will be controlled for a long time, and the risk of progression increases as the pressures go beyond 18 in frequent follow-ups. So IOP turned out to be a great thing. In NTG, it was slightly different. And as a matter of fact, in the NTG study, they realized that there was no difference in progression between the control and the treated group unless they took care of the cataracts. Once they censored the cataracts, they realized that yes, the treatment arm was slightly better than the control group. And yet, in CNTG, progression was not related to the factors which were in the EMGT. It was more related to female gender, migraine and Raynaud's disease. So we know that it is some kind of a vascular phenomena. So open angle behaves differently, the normal tension behaves differently as far as the risk of progression is concerned. And in OHTS again it was related to older age, larger cup disc ratios, higher IOP, greater pattern standard deviation and thinner central corneal measurements. So rest of the factors are pretty much same for progression except for the thinner corneas which are not found in other studies. Obviously, if you see a pseudoexfoliation, you are very clear that this patient is at risk. Please be very, very careful because many of them will progress fast, and even when, because most of the PXE patients are older age group patients, but even when they took away the confounding factor of older age, yet PXE by itself was a factor which would result in worsening of the prognosis, because again PXE is related to some kind of additional vascular factors. Disc hemorrhages are a clear factor in almost all the studies. If you have a single disc hemorrhage or repeated disc hemorrhage, the risk of progression goes up. The only confounding study was Syzygitis study, in which the treated arm with lasers and medicines was 3 millimeters higher than the trabeculectomy arm, and yet the field changes in both of them were almost similar. So that was a little difficult to explain. Again, we know that the diurnal variation, usually we do, most of them we do not do it for the full office hours. And we don't even know how flat is flat. Initially it was taught it was less than 8, now it is taught that it should be less than 3 and as flat as possible. But it is very clear in the advanced glaucoma reanalysis they found that IOP greater fluctuation was very, very important, and progression by 30% for 1 millimeter of increase in IOP fluctuation. Again, Quigley and Boland study also showed us that increased IOP and increased diurnal IOP variation was important as a risk factor for progression. even in normal tension glaucoma, the fluctuation of the pressures was important as a risk factor for progression. The interesting thing was, in ages they found that the low mean IOP pressures were more affected by progression than those with higher mean IOP pressures. But by and large, so what I want to tell you is that don't think of just setting a target pressure, also think of setting a fluctuation pressure for your patients. And obviously, in the end, what we come to know is that yes, the single most important factor that we can modify is raised intraocular pressure, which is a risk factor that we can control. Greater IOP diurnal variation, you shift your medication in a manner that the variation is stopped maximally. So these are the two things that we can actually control. And the other things which will make you immediately alert if the patient is having pseudoexfoliation, disc hemorrhage, older age, bilateral disease, and worse mean deviation on the fields, then you have to be careful that you are in for trouble. In ocular hypertensives, thin corneas are important. And in NTG, if the patient is NTG, be careful if they are females, migraine and Raynaud's disease. This could be trouble for you. Thank you very much.